welcome. I'm Angela. Welcome to Buckridge Homestead. I'm excited to have you here today with me while I make my grandma's famous Christmas pudding. So this kind of Christmas pudding isn't actually a pudding. It's more like a cake, and you can it in jars, and then you put it in at Christmas. You warm it up in your canning jar, and you make a really delicious rum sauce for it. It's so yummy. Everybody always wants seconds and thirds. So this is like an old Mennonite recipe, her famous recipe. It's a little bit different. She gave me this really cool Christmas recipe book a while ago, and there's a similar recipe in here. This is so neat. It's got like what to cook for Christmas dinner, Yuletide buffet, all like old-fashioned stuffing, and it's kind of similar, but I'm going to be adjusting it. They call it century plum pudding, and it's very similar to that. So let's make her recipe for canned Christmas pudding. Okay, so one important thing that I forgot to mention is that you can use a water bath canner or a pressure canner for this recipe. If you use a pressure canner, you only have to do it for 45 minutes. If you use a water bath canner, you have to can it for an hour and a half to, oh, so I'm sorry, 3 hours. She has 3 hours. So my pressure canner, unfortunately, I can only do pint jars in it. I can't do quarts, it's too small. So I'm gonna, and I think I can do 5 at a time. Yes, 5 pints at a time. So I'm not sure how many jars we're gonna get out of this, but when I'm done, I will do a breakdown of everything and the cost and the price. And also at the end, I will let you know how many jars that we get out of this. It is so yummy, and the rum sauce is so good. You gotta try it. And even if you don't like candied fruit, there's only a bit of it in it, and the rest is like nuts and fruit and vegetables. And I know it sounds strange, but it's so delicious. You have to give it a try. Anyway, let's get started. So this old-fashioned recipe calls for suet. We're gonna use butter and shortening, half and half instead of suet, because it's just not that healthy for you. But if you want to use it and do the real old-fashioned way, that's what you would use. So you would adjust the butter and the shortening for suet in exact measurements. So next is 5 cups of apple. I think I used a little extra carrot here because I don't have 5 cups of apples. I've got 6 apples, but they're pretty small. You want to grate those ones as well. I'm using my food processor because it's way faster for me, and I wash these, so I'm going to leave the skin on. And I have a bowl that I'm going to put things in for my chickens. So for the potatoes, I'm going to peel all of these potatoes because the skins are just not nice on them. But if you have like really new baby potatoes from the garden, which I do have, but I want to use up these russets because they're getting kind of soft, and this is a great recipe to use up anything that, because you're canning it, it's gonna get so soft and steamed anyway. So that's all my apples. That could be about 5 cups. I probably got about 7 cups of carrots. But it's 5 cups of each: potato, apple, and carrot. So the next thing I want to do is I want to grate my shortening and my butter. And I put this in the freezer for an hour before I started, and it wasn't quite long enough. It's not grating that great, but the butter is really frozen, so that should grate. nice. But as long as it's shredding it a bit, we're good. So what you want to do is you want to put your 5 parts butter and shortening or suet, whatever you're using, grate it up and add it to another bowl. Okay, so I've got my butter and shortening grated, 5 cups between the both of them. Oh, my kettle's going. Okay, that's perfect timing because I'm going to soak all of these raisins, 5 cups of raisins and craisons all together. And because I didn't have 2 containers of candied fruit, I added a container extra worth of, so that would be 2 cups more. So I actually have 7 cups between the raisins, golden raisins, regular raisins, and craisons. And I'm gonna pour boiling water on these and soak them. Okay, now we're going to add in 5 beaten eggs. So I'm first going to put them in a bowl, and then I'm going to beat these up and add them. We've got all the spices in there, and now I'm going to add 6 cups of flour. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, next is the sugar. 1, 2, 3. And, oh, I already measured this out, so that would be 4. Okay. So I've just finished kind of incorporating everything as good as I can with a hand mixer because I'm using this big bowl. I can't fit it in my KitchenAid. So now that all of that spices, flour, eggs, sugar, butter, shortening, mixture, salt and whatnot is all already in there, now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. So I'm going to pour in the 2 cups of walnuts and 2 cups of almonds. And I'm sorry, I forgot to show you this. I knew I had bought more stuff, and you need to use this mixed peel, which is just like that Christmas, that candied orange and lemon, and use one of these kind of containers. I believe it's, oh, yikes, slippery. I believe that's a cup. I think that's honestly all that it is in there. And then this is kind of the tedious part. We have to cut this up with scissors. Grandma always says that nobody wants a big, huge bite into one of these giant cherries. Now, if you can get them already cut up like this peel mixture, it's really perfect. I could have just put these in the food processor, but I already washed it and put it away after grating all of that fruit. And people that don't like candied fruit, I've got some fussy people in the house, and honestly, they love this. They totally love this thing. They don't realize there's any real candied fruit in it, because when it comes out and you put it in your bowl, it's just like a, looks like a spice cake. And then you pour the white rum sauce all over it. Oh my goodness. It's so good. Now I'm going to add my 6 cups of raisins and cranberries that I soaked. Give that a stir. It's gonna get, this is a lot. And this is a pretty big bowl. I'm excited because this is gonna last a long time on the pantry shelf, and when Christmas comes, we do open quite a few jars for everybody because they always want more, and it's just so easy. You just have to microwave and warm up your Christmas pudding cake. Make the fresh sauce and so good. So I'm gonna blend this with the blender, and then I'm gonna add in all my grated veggies and fruit. So now I just added the baking soda and the vanilla, and it's starting to really come together, but I still have all of this grated fruit. So that's next. So I've got all my mixture mixed up, and I ended up mixing it by hand with some gloves on because it's just easier to combine everything, and it's looking quite nice. I hope it's the right consistency. It looks delicious. It's quite buttery and wet, but that's the way it's gonna be because we're gonna steam it. Okay, so now I've got my jars all sterilized, and I'm gonna put my mixture into the jars, and I'm gonna have to clean the ring really good to make sure that I don't have any of this cake mixture. And I'm going to try and get the air bubbles out there with a knife. And probably put a little bit more in there. I might have to use a smaller spoon. Yeah. I've got a really clean, damp.
It's super important that you do not fill these more than 3/4 done,
cloth
and I
here.
will show you at the end why.
So now I'm going to turn on my pressure canner, and I might have too much water in here. Can always add more water after. This one requires it to be 2/3 full. Oh, these aren't all gonna fit. That's okay. I was thinking my little jars, these ones that I could get way more in there. Okay, but that's all right. We can do the water bath canner too and show you how that works. So with this little pressure canner, that's closed. That's sealing, and then I want to hit canning. Cook time 45 minutes. That's perfect. And I just leave it there, and it starts with the warm-up phase. I do have a brand new large canner that I'm excited to use, pressure canner, but I haven't got it out, and it's digital as well, and I haven't used it yet, so I don't want to do a trial run with it today. I'm just want to use what I'm know. So I'm going to get my water bath canner out, and then I can use quartz, which works out really great for big desserts after Christmas anyway. Usually we can open 2 quarts and spoon it into little dishes with the sauce, and that's a perfect amount for everybody. So this will make, but sometimes 3 because my kids love it. So we'll see. Get all the water in there. I filled it about 1/3 full, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. Okay, so it says the typical canning method that hot jars go into hot liquid doesn't happen here. We're doing cold jars into cold liquid, so this way the jars don't break. So we're going to warm the water up as we slowly steam the pudding. So for that reason, I just have this on very low so we can put our cold jars in here, and then we won't have an accident. I can fit one more in there. You know what? I only have this one jar left. I'm gonna put it in here. Anyway, I don't know. I've never done that. I've never put one on top of each other. So I just have this on really low. But I am gonna put this in here and gamble. I don't know if it should be on there, but anyway, we're gonna slowly bring this to temperature so the jars don't break. I should have put it in when it was cold, like I did the pressure cooker, cold water with cold jars, so it heats up at the exact same time. I just watched another video of somebody doing that, putting that on, and it can perfectly, so I'm gonna go for it. And sealed perfectly. It's coming to a boil now. This isn't going to be like a crazy full rolling boil canning. It's going to be steaming for 3 hours. So I'm going to put it on simmer when it comes to a boil, and then I'm just going to shut the lid and leave a little bit of venting. So that was fairly time consuming because of all the ingredients, but using that food processor saved tons of time. So it's kind of one of those jobs that you do every couple of years and just can a bunch, and then it's on the shelf and you always have it. This beautiful rum from a friend that came over and dropped it off, and we don't drink hard alcohol, so well, I don't drink any alcohol, but this is going to make a beautiful rum sauce. A couple tablespoons. Oh my goodness. My kids are going to be so excited that I'm making this because they love this. This is like a family tradition recipe. So some people think it's weird, but we grew up on it. This is what is Christmas dessert. One more hour. They're going good, but I have to share something with you guys. So if I just want to make it so I say this enough times, please do not put more than 3/4 in your jar, because with the flour, how it turns into a cake, it expands, and I actually have 3 that aren't sealed because it came too high in there. So 3/4 full is like max. These are done already because they were done in the pressure canner for 45 minutes. And these ones here are just gonna take a lot longer because if you water bath them, you have to do it for 3 hours. So I just wanted to share that with you in case I forget at the end, but definitely put less in the jar than you think. Way down, at least an inch down from the spot that you normally leave from the top of the ring. So at least, so about 3/4 of a jar at the most. I'm just actually really lucky that none of my jars exploded because of that. And I forgot when you're canning with flour to use way less in your jar. Good morning, friends. So I finished all of this last night, and a couple of them didn't seal because I had put too much in it. So that's why there's a different lid on that one. But all in all, they turned out beautiful, and I sampled this one. It tastes so delicious, and now I'm going to make the delicious rum sauce. So all you need for the sauce is any kind of rum, and again, I don't drink or anything, but I'm still using the rum for the flavor because there won't be hardly any in it, but you can use imitation rum. Vanilla, icing sugar, evaporated milk, butter, and egg. So instead of the vanilla, just
so
use
Grandma,
imitation
I know that you probably
rum
don't approve
flavoring
of
if you
my
choose.
way I make the rum sauce, because when I phoned you for the recipe, I didn't ask for the method. I just asked for the ingredients. So I'm doing it how I think you may have done it, but So I'm beating the butter and the icing sugar together, and I'm adding 1 egg yolk in the mixture. I ended up adding 2 eggs in the end because I wanted it to be a bit, I needed more egg whites as well. So I mixed that together and separated my eggs and saved the egg white for blending next. But now I'm just going to add the egg yolk in. This was kind of like a big top, so like I said earlier, you want to whip some up and stock your pantry shelves for a couple years because it lasts. And then you have it on hand, and it's so easy to heat up in the jar in the microwave. It only takes like 2 minutes in the microwave. And then you make your hot rum sauce and pour it on. It's just so good. And the pudding is like, cake is like steaming. So I'm using that special rum from our friend brought over. And it smells kind of like a spiced rum, but I'm not too sure because I'm not a big, at all a rum person. But I'm going to add a bunch of rum, probably like half a cup, quarter cup to half a cup, some vanilla. And then I'm just going to transfer this into a pan to, like a small pot, to put on the stove and heat up slowly so I can cook that egg and really melt that butter. Maybe you would have done this, Grandma, on the stove all at one time. I'm not sure. I'm sure she'll tell me later. But I'll have to see if I get the approval. I know that the cake turned out amazing and it looks exactly like hers and tastes exactly like hers. So we got the recipe of the canning of the Christmas pudding cake down to a fine art, especially for next time. So now I'm just going to cook this really, really low because I don't want those egg yolk to curdle or anything. And just bring it to like not even a simmer, just heating it up. And then I'm gonna, in the mixer, I'm gonna go back and I'm going to start to beat my egg whites until I get a nice consistency, until my egg whites are like stiff, because then I'm going to kind of fold them in. But my mixer didn't do a very good job of that because I didn't have enough in the bottom of this mixer. But I'm going to stir it in and fold it in gently, that egg white. And there you have it. It's so easy. You just heat that all up until it's all combined, and it makes like it's a very thin sauce, thin, white, foamy, frothy sauce. And it's exactly, I know I probably made it a little different than she did, but she may have used a double boiler, but the consistency is exactly right from what I remember growing up having this every Christmas at her house. So it's a pretty special recipe to me, and it was really a joy to make. And now I have tons on the shelf, so I'll have enough for this year, next year, and maybe even the following year, unless I have it at Thanksgiving or Easter, which is totally a possibility because it just goes so good after a turkey dinner. So now what I want to do is I'm going to spoon this delicious cake, Christmas pudding cake, into my serving dish, just like she did. And I have already microwaved this for a couple minutes until it was steaming hot. And that's how I remember it, always steaming hot with a nice healthy serving of rum sauce on the top. Now, you can adjust how much rum you put in this recipe easily by taste, so you don't have to start with half a cup or quarter cup or anything. You can just use a couple tablespoons. It just depends how much you like. If you like it really rummy, I'd use half a cup, and if you don't, then just use a couple tablespoons is plenty. And that's it. That's how beautiful it is. It looks so good, and I'm definitely gonna taste test this. You would never know that there's potato in here, would you? It's so good. When the kids find out that I've made this, they're gonna be so excited. So thank you so much for being here. I love each and every one of you. If you love these videos, please give me a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe. I would be honored to have you back again. Bye, friends.